Hello everyone. I appreciate you guys joining me. I am Bryanna Dahl. I work over at the Milford Fire Department. I know I'm speaking with the City Council here from Milford. I just want to pretty much promote education and it's in a sense of fire prevention for you guys to help maybe grow an understanding, grow your knowledge on the subject. I'm not going to really go into an overview because that would take up a lot of our time because there's a lot of things we're going to touch on, so I'm just going to jump right in. But if you guys have any questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out to me via my email. I will have that for you guys. But basically we'll start out with the importance of identifying the basic concepts of education, enforcement, and also engineering. So with education, a really big code that Delaware follows, really everyone follows, is NFPA 101. So a really good educational piece to help you guys out, what I will highly suggest is the life safety code course. Highly suggest. It'll basically go over all of NFPA 101, bits and pieces of it, because it's a really big regulation. But anyway, so I highly suggest that. And also going in with the enforcement piece, the big picture with the enforcement, this is basically tying in and putting these codes, enforcing these codes. And the big idea and the big picture with this is to safeguard our personnel and to safeguard the people going in, our first responders, who are saving them. So, and as well as the infrastructure. So there's a lot of things that tie in with that piece. So you want to make sure that enforcing these codes, there's a big reason for it. We're saving lives here. The engineering piece, depending on the type of building, there could be different types of engineering that need to be put in place. Not every single building is going to need a fire suppression. Some of our buildings will require that in our jurisdiction, like our movie theater. It is newer, so it does have a fire suppression. Versus our residential houses, there's a lot of those. We have a lot of neighborhoods. Not really common to have fire suppression. Now there could be some onesie twosies in there that have it, but like I said, not common. Is it beneficial? Of course, but not common. Clearly the big piece on that and the importance of engineering is the same as all of it. Basically safeguarding our personnel, our occupants that are in there, safeguarding the people that are going in there and saving them, reducing the risk and the hazard and the potential for a fire to start, and hopefully saving the infrastructure. Okay, I'm kind of glancing over at my notes here so I don't miss anything for you guys. All right, so next I'm going to explain how the code is enforced in our jurisdiction for Milford. So basically, Milford, like I said, is in Delaware. We go off of the state fire marshal's office. It functions as an independent state agency. Now the enforcement of the codes occurs at the local level, meaning the fire department, us, the code enforcement office, or the fire marshal is responsible for enforcing the regulations. And keep that in mind. Also, describing how the local jurisdiction applies code to new and existing occupancy. So the reason why there's new and existing in there, that's there for a reason. So basically, Delaware State Fire Marshal's office ensures the fire regulations by implementing them and ensuring the compliance within the state. The Code Enforcement Division within each town is responsible for enforcing new buildings with the newest standards. The older buildings could have the potential to be grandfathered by old standards. Let's say there's a house that's 20 years old. It's not going to have the newest standards, and you can't expect them to upgrade their house to get to the newest standards. There's also certain circumstances like historical buildings. They also have some exceptions where they don't have to be up to compliance with the newest standards due to some construction that might interfere with the actual infrastructure and degrade its historical value. Okay. Identify local organizations that determine fire resistance of building materials. Here in Milford, the majority of what we see is Intertech. That's a really big company. We could see some other companies that come in and do it, but Intertech's a big one you'll see. I also want to throw out there that with the fire department, no, we don't essentially put out a rating for the fire resistant, but we can always provide some valuable insight and knowledge. So don't ever be afraid to give us a call and have us come out if obviously we're not busy. We can provide that for you guys. Okay, so describe how fire tests and fire ratings apply to inspection and code enforcement for Milford. So products that are being used need to have been tested, for instance, Interlec, but it doesn't have to be Intertech. And if they have not been properly tested, they need to obtain an inspection from an authorized source, or the license can be pulled. Or essentially, if it's a new building, it could not be given at all. There are multiple fire ratings within the jurisdiction. For example, the highest fire rating we have is fire rating A. That's our educational buildings, like our middle school, our elementary school. They have fire rating A's. We also have lower scale fire ratings. Those are in what you'll see in our residential homes or neighborhoods of that intellect. Okay. I also want to point out though that although the ratings are different, they still all fall underneath the same code. So for example, NFPA 101, but with that, they might have to follow different regulation pieces within that code. So they might fall under the same code, but they have to comply with different parts of the regulation. So keep that in mind. Okay, so then going into identify the types of tests used to determine fire ratings of certain building components, materials in our area. We have a lot of different types of buildings in our jurisdiction. I'm just going to go over a few, and I'm really digging into one. Our educational one goes into really the basic ASTM E119. That is the test method that is used throughout the United States, but it also has a few other more uncommon ones that are tied into that, just because there needs to be flame resistant draperies, curtains, furnishing, things of that nature in the educational realm. So that would fall into NFPA 701 as well. But our industrial buildings, things like that, is also going to fall into ASTM E119. Okay. Identify characteristics of unsafe structures in the Milford jurisdiction. So for us, some of the safety concerns that I notice we have a lot of really new houses that are popping up, new neighborhoods. With the new housing, a lot of lightweight building material, more combustible, and just the furnishing is more combustible also. We do have a lot of open layout building designs, so whether it's restaurants or gosh, I can't think of the word, movie theaters, that's also more of a concern than the typical. Okay, then sorry, just making sure I don't miss anything for you guys. Okay, so identify building construction types in our area that possess the biggest hazards for potential fire spread. Like I said, we have a lot of different types, but the biggest more hazardous one is the type V construction, basically our residential homes. It's all wood framed. It can combust really easy. I don't want to say easy, but a lot quicker than another type of construction. Really, the only area in there that's fire rated is from the garage going into the house, and if you might put in a few fire rated doors, things like that, but the walls and the ceilings, like the room I'm in right now has the ceiling tiles that are, they have a certain fire rating where the fire takes a certain amount of time to eat through. You're not really going to get that. And certain areas. Okay, so explain how plans review and structural control as a means for fire protection would improve the safety of unsafe structures in our area. So the plans review, this all starts with basically the blueprints, ensuring that do we have fire suppressions? Do we need fire suppressions? Do we have the proper amount of fire exits? Is the lighting in the appropriate areas? Are we missing anything? And then it just doesn't stop there. We follow through with frequent inspections all the way up until the very end. These inspections can also tie in with the structural control. Structural control can be a lot of different things, but that's basically how you're controlling the structure of basically like the fire prevention of it. So going through and doing those inspections, hey, do we have everything we need? Maybe during an inspection you notice that yeah, actually we're missing a whole entire fire suppression system that's required for this building. What do? We got to get this installed, or else we're not going to get the licensing for this occupancy. There's just a lot of different entities to that. But with that, hopefully I didn't babble on too long for you guys. But if you, like I said, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm here to answer any questions at all. Here for you guys. Hopefully I helped you guys instill a little bit more knowledge on fire prevention, and we can spread it throughout the Milford jurisdiction. Have a nice day.